So, okay, I had somebody called in at 4:30 in the morning. I do have another camera that I just gotta have not set it up to use it because, well, contrary to what it seems, even though I'm not working anymore, I still seem like I never get everything done in a day, and I'm not gonna delete the footage that I was recording before this person called in. It's in the AM early. You'd think, who would be up? I don't know. I couldn't recognize it. I'll get back with them later. Anyway, I guess the only thing I have different than the rest of the people on YouTube is that this is just genuine raw. I mean, absolutely no bells and whistles. But what I was going to get to about the footage that I sent into Legacy Box, which were the reel-to-reel films from, it looks like what I've got back is mainly 50s and 60s stuff. The gentleman that's in there, according to a friend of mine that saw it, was a man that my mother was married to before my father, which, yes, I'm having some mental issues with it because I would definitely not want to be disloyal to my father, which to me was just the greatest person in the whole world. I am only working with what I'm presented with, and because I believe the universe gives you everything for a reason, I am going to keep the footage out there, even though one of my friends looked at it and asked me what I know about the gentleman whose name is Jesse Clyde Lewis, who has long since passed away. I think he might have passed in the 90s. I don't know. But according to my friend, there was some indication of at least alluding to mob stuff and mob mentality. Maybe he was just a wannabe. You know how everybody wants to be sinister and dark, and I guess the new word would be like more gangsta. But there was like a picture of like this sounds stupid, Peckerwood Club. I don't know. Jesse Clyde Lewis's family, if you happen to come across this, I mean no smoke with anybody. This was just stuff that was in the attic, and I took Van Hall's very informative, good class, and I want some original content. Of course, I didn't take it obviously well enough to edit or do any of the other stuff he was trying to teach. Hey, he's a bomb, you know. He has been in this for years and years. You should take a look at that. But back to the topic. What if all of these 30, okay, I've already got 30 some movies. As I'm getting them developed, I was told that I had every right in the world to, I mean, unless it's like, you know, murder, child, you know, molesting or something, I can put it out there. I mean, you know, I wouldn't, if it was that, I would, yeah, turn it deliberately and immediately into the authorities. No doubt about that. There's certain things I absolutely cannot stomach and tolerate, and that is in the top two. But I do not want to upset anyone's family, especially if their kids and grandkids are still in the mob. There was nothing that they were doing that were that bad. I mean, there was some drinking, and back in the 50s, everybody was smoking a cigarette, one right after the other. Of course, today it looks shocking because you just don't see people. Well, you don't see them as much being filmed doing that. And love that 1950s vibe. And it was so nice to see my mom young and happy in those movies. When she passed, that was kind of a whole nother story. I think the dementia thing kind of took her happiness. But anyway, it gives you guys something to look at. I'm going to have more footage. I hope I don't run into obstacles because like I said already, I'm looking at that, and well, the person that I was talking to honestly was my kid's dad, and his mother's last name is Lotta Sheena, and they have a little bit of indication of maybe some of the stuff in Kansas City, and I don't know if just even that gangster flair. I still think that Clyde or Jesse Lewis. I still think maybe he was just at the time. He was a few years older than my mom, and he did do a whole lot of drinking and partying and crazy for that time. But like I said, it wasn't that closeted then to have that lifestyle out there. It was before my time. I really have no say. But if you guys see something in any of these, if you're watching and you say, oh, maybe she shouldn't have put that in there, understand, I don't have edit for my own content here in the crapper, much less, you know, what Legacy Box is back. But Legacy Box, I think, did a good job for me as far as editing out. I still am so very curious about what part of that they did not deem correct to send back as content, because like I indicated, the content obviously was acceptable for back in the day because they had it developed somewhere. See, and this would be just the topic I would want to broach with doing this particular project. Contrast what was okay and acceptable or even expected back 40s through 90s, 80s, 90s, as opposed to us looking at it today going, darn, look at all those dudes, like, you know, you see people, you know, like 3 of them in there smoking, like one right after the other, and inside the house, you know, I mean, even, you're not even used to seeing that by today's standards. But anyway, it was fun for me, and oh my goodness, my dad was in some of the later ones. Obviously, once you see the ones with the fat baby, which is me, then you'll see the one who was my father in there, and he was so handsome and so kind of young Elvis vibe. It makes my heart happy to see this stuff. But I don't know, I guess I was not expecting to see that much from the gentleman that my mother was married to before. But if you know even where his family is today, I know that for leaving my mom in a situation in a poor, bad neighborhood. My mom was the only one working in the 40s and 50s before I came along, or at least in the 40s, if any of those films go back that far, which it was, number one, hard for a woman to get a job back then. She was supporting my grandmother, which is the white-headed woman in there that's just like always laughing and seeming kind of happy. Her name is Ada. She was Ada Elringer, and then she married Richard Noblesdorf. He has some very German names. So she is in there. If you know, I know that about her family, my grandmother and on my mom's side, they stay in touch with me, as does definitely my father's side. I do not mean to personally offend anybody by putting this footage out there right now, my own family's or whoever I have bought the films from. But I want you to keep me in the loop. If you see something and you go, oh, maybe she should not have put that out there. Just because I can legally put it out there does not mean that it all should be put out there, if that makes sense. And maybe I'm just forecasting, because honestly, I really don't know what is in most of these. I'm just looking for content and something original, you know? Isn't that what we all hope? Well, hey, me sitting here with no bells and whistles on the bathroom floor, and that's kind of what people don't do these days, right? Anyway, I hope you have a blessed day, and stay in touch if you like. Thank you. Oops. Now, where else would you get that fine footage?